in education and the research. I welcome you all to this virtual platform. Friends, since last 4 days, we are discussing with the different tools and the strategies towards the integration of this most recent artificial intelligence technology in our education as well as research and tools. Most we had this AI like the prompt engineering. We have almost covered, and other Conscious, Tiny Wow, Chat GTP. We have almost covered with the help of some renowned expert that has been called from the industry. Today, we are going to discuss the very much important concept that is the literature review, research, and this with one renowned expert Vivek Suresh. Extend my warm welcome to this particular session and this sponsored short-term course. In fact, intelligence organized by sectors and target university. Friends, Mr. Vivek studies at present serving as co-founder and officer. Idocs Private Limited, Kochi is situated in India. He's a hands-on technologist having more than 20 years of experience with the primary expertise in the WBI, big data, data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning, with the exposure to the US and UK market in the banking and the insurance space, handling the consulting, solutioning people, and the delivery management role with the equal proficiency. He has completed his MBA from the United States. He has also completed his MS in the software engineering from the BITS Pilani, and he has completed his BTech in the mechanical engineering from the College of Engineering, Tiruvandrum. Before starting his startup, he has worked as a vice president in the practice head as a data, AI, and the automation at the Litmus 7 Systems Consulting Limited, situated in the Kochi. He was also served as a vice president in the AI Ops Solution Architect, Citibank Services India Private Limited in the Chennai. He was also served as a senior manager in the delivery data science practices at the Convenience Technology Solutions. So friends, this is a brief introduction with regards to Mr. Virat Suresh. And today, sir, we'll talking on the literature review, research, and the citation using the AI with some hands-on experiences. So, sir, I once again extend my warm welcome to you. And now, please request you to start with your sessions. So, please.
Thank you, sir, for the introduction and for the welcome. So I hope my voice is clear because I was having some issues. I think
sir, very much clear, sir. Very much clear. Sir.
Clear, right? Yeah. Okay. Then fine. Okay. At any point in time, if there is a problem with the voice and things like that, just let me know. Then maybe I can mute my video to save some bandwidth and things of that sort, right? So welcome everyone to today's session. So let me share my screen. So today's session, the way we will run it is we will do with a mix of theory and hands-on as well, right? So since this is more about how do we leverage generative AI in our day-to-day tasks, right? So when it comes to the audience that is here, it is how do we use various Gen AI capable tools that are out there to help and improve your day-to-day activities that you do as part of the education and research and in that field that you are currently in, right? So let me share my screen. Hope my presentation is visible, right?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Yeah. Okay. So today, what we will primarily see is how do we use various tools that are out there, right? So I know you have been going through earlier sessions. I think from the start of this week itself, right, in that field, in and around using AI for especially using generative AI for various tasks that as professors, lecturers, and professors you would be doing on a day out basis, right? So today we will So the list of tools would probably be the same, right? So if you look at in the market, say you have, say what you have, you have say options like, say when it comes to knowledge related research, knowledge related say searches and things of that sort. Say you have say ChatGPT, you have Gemini, you have Perplexity, you have DeepSeek. DeepSeek also has come out with models recently, right? So you have, and also say within the Indian context also there are say few search engines, right? You have Sutram.ai, and there are say folks like that who also provide some search engines, right? So earlier we used to go to Google for most of our searches. Now the nature of search, right? Whatever we are searching for, right? Even if say it's something for our kids, something for our day-to-day activities, something for our work, or say something for even for leisure, right? So if you want to plan for a trip to say to Middle East, right? Or you want to plan for a trip to Northeast India, right? So somewhere like that. So if you want to plan for something, also say lot of us are now starting to say move away from a Google search or a Bing search to more towards going to ChatGPT, going to Perplexity, DeepSeek, or any of these say tools that are out there, right? So what we'll see today is how you can use Perplexity.ai specifically, because they do have research assistants and things of that sort. How do we look at Perplexity, say more from say and use it more into say literature review, research, and all those things, right? Moving on. 1 second. Yeah, so why is this necessary? Why do we really have to say understand say how to use all of this in that overall landscape of say academia? That's primarily because we are say soon reaching a stage where there is say you have as professors you are say reaching a stage where say you have to address say this whole thing of research overload, right? So there is an overwhelming output of research content that is getting published into say various say websites and various say publishing agencies, be it arXiv, be it any of say your engineering say be it IEEE, right? So I'm a member of IEEE also, so I see there is a request for say paper submissions and things like that said that has gone up in the last say couple of years, I would say, right? So earlier say if we used to get one request in a week, say now it has gone up to so at least 5 or 6 requests for papers every day, right? So the similar say surge in say paper submissions and things like that, be it in the scientific community, be it in economics, be it in art and literature, everywhere it is going up, right? So which means as part of academia, when you have to say structure your courses, when you have to say deliver content to your students, say this whole need for say assimilating and understanding this heavy output of research that is going in becomes all the more important, right? And let's face it, it's kind of humanly impossible to say sit and read through all of this in the midst of say taking care of all the other say tasks and activities that we have to anyways handle, right? Same is the case because there is an overload of say research that is coming in. There is also this need for say smart summarization that comes in, right? So because say when you have to give this content out, say you will have to ensure that say you understand the content very quickly, and then say you will be able to say um, uh, go and say deliver this to say to your students and say folks to whom you are going to say take these classes. The third is obviously to make life easier for all of us. Say there is this emergence of LLMs that's out there, and a lot of these LLMs are say open source, although there are say paid versions as well, but there are open source versions that we can start utilizing for our for all these say summarizations and say understanding the research and say for doing citations and all those things, right? And we will say what we'll also do in today's classes, we will do uh, along with the in the class, say we will say go through say some say we will go to perplexity.ai, we'll go to customgpt.ai, we'll go to Gemini, and then say look at some of these aspects as well, right? Now, with respect to say what we are going to cover today, as well as say in tomorrow's afternoon session, say we will look at primarily these things, right? So today we will primarily look at how to use Perplexity to do AI-powered researches and citation-backed answers and things of that sort, right? So, and as an additional as an additional tool, we will also look at Gemini. Maybe you've already seen Gemini as a tool, but we will look at Gemini specifically with respect to how do you use Gemini to say maybe upload your own, say some sample research papers that you've downloaded from, say maybe Archive, right, or from Scientific American, right, or any of those places you have downloaded it, or even from IEEE you've downloaded a research content, and you would want to understand very quickly what is the summary of, say, what is being mentioned here, right, and things like that. So we will see how we can use even Gemini to do that, right? And then in tomorrow's session, we will say look at custom GPT. We will look at also we will also look at, say, how can we do, say, research with custom GPT. And now you get a research content out of custom GPT. How do you then convert them into presentations, right? Or if you have certain ideas, you want to take a particular class and you want to create and you know the content, but you want to, say, quickly create some slidewares for taking the classes, right? Then how do you use, say, various AI slide generators that are out there? One of them is gamma.app, right? And the reason I've chosen gamma.app is because gamma.app has a free version available. Although, say, after certain time, for you to if you want to continuously, say, generate presentations and things like that using this app, then obviously we'll have to take a paid version, right? So this is how we will structure the sessions today mornings and tomorrow afternoons, right? Now, say, looking at a little bit more, right? So what we'll go through is also, say, we will see how we can utilize, say, Perplexity for research, right? Which is basically then we leverage Perplexity's capabilities and the power that Perplexity brings in to find academic resources, and then, say, even, say, recent findings on any of the aspects, topics that you have to cover as part of the classes that you take and all those things, right? So similarly, we can also see how we can maybe even take the help of Perplexity to generate some, say, interactive question and answers and things like that, which can be then included as part of, say, the sessions that you take and all those things, right? So that's what we are going to, say, primarily look at today. Yeah, and then how do we use, say, other than literature review, say, what are the other use cases that, say, you can apply Perplexity, right? In fact, when I say Perplexity, this is applicable to any of the similar tools like, say, a Gemini or a ChatGPT or a DeepSeek and all those things, right? So one is literature review. Then, say, lot of times, say, when you have to do research and when you have to, say, especially, say, in the field of computer science, data science and AI and things like that, when you want to do some sort of you want to create data, right? So to maybe replicate a scenario, right? Or you want to create data, or you want to have access to data, right? To build, say, maybe an AI model, right? Which can then be used to demonstrate a particular hypothesis and all those things. In all these cases, say, one is finding data sets, two, even generating data sets, and all those things can be done with the help of these AI tools, right? Then obviously, say, exploring, say, things related to work, and also, say, things around, say, question answers, and how do you, say, do guidance of your students when it comes to, say, research and critical thinking and things around that, right? So before we actually look at how do we use Perplexity for, say, literature review, any interaction with, say, the Gen AI tools that are available now, right? Say the ones that I mentioned, be it the research-oriented tools like ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity or DeepSeek, or, say, if you look at, say, Gamma app or presentations.ai, which are, say, applications that you would use for generating ideas, right? Converting ideas into presentations, or even, say, things like OpenSora or DALI and things like that, which you can use to, say, create some quick videos. So all of these, which are, say, centered around this whole concept of generative AI, for us to interact with these platforms or tools and to make them give output in the manner that we want, or, say, for us to get the desired outcomes and outputs, see, there is a way in which we have to interact with these systems, right? And that whole concept is called as prompt engineering, right? So now how do you like prompt or talk to the AI engine basically to say get the output that you're expecting the engine to produce, right? So what is prompt engineering? Prompt engineering is basically say constructing the request that you're going to send these tools such a way that you can guide the AI behavior, right? So it is the whole concept revolves around the process in which say you would adopt to the process that you would adopt to say craft your input that goes into the AI tool, right? Like any of the AI tools that we mentioned above, right? And why is this important? This is important because it say helps you save time. It helps you save the number of iterations that you might have to have with the tool, right? So maybe if some of you have already started interacting with ChatGPT and things like that, so you could see differences in when you say give a detailed explanation of what you want versus so you just give a one-liner, right? Or you give a quick reference to, hey, this is what I want and things like that, right? So when you give a detailed explanation, the responses from the AI, from ChatGPT, right, or Perplexity, any of these things will be much more contextualized and much more related to say what you're looking for, right? Whereas if it's a one-liner, you might have to ask further probing questions. You might have to start setting further context to the engine before it starts giving you responses that is again related and contextual to say what you're asking it, right? So that is what say the whole thing about prompt engineering is about, right? Prompt engineering is basically say applying certain techniques and certain approaches to the way in which you construct the instructions that you're going to send to any of these ChatGPT tools and platforms. One second. Right, so over the period of time, so now most of you know that say this whole generative AI is now part and parcel of um, uh, parcel of say our day-to-day activities say now for almost 2 years now, right? So it was around end 2022, beginning 2023 that ChatGPT first became available for users, and then within like say 5 days itself, say there were almost 1 million users on ChatGPT, and from then on the usage has only gone up, right? And all these new tools and platforms and all those things started coming in ever since I would say April, May 2023, right? So over the period of last say I would say 18 to 24 months, different techniques for prompting has come up, right? So which is say how do you kind of say interact with these tools, right? With these Gen AI tools, and what are the mechanisms that you can adopt to pass on that instruction much more in a clearer and concise way to the platform, right? So the first is zero shot, which is what most of us generally do use, right? So it's going ahead and asking a question that we have, right? So you go ahead and ask that question, it gives a response, right? A lot of times what happens is, and I personally have also gone through this, which is, so you ask a question, it gives a response, but then you have to say maybe ask say multiple iterative questions, multiple iterative things to it before it comes back and then gives us an answer that is that we feel is closer to what we were actually looking for, right? So that is one approach. That was the initial approach that most of the people used to follow before the rest of the ones started coming in, right? Next is this whole example, the whole example approach, right? Or a few shot approach. What is meant by few shot is say maybe you give, right? See, you give an example, right? So you say that say, and this especially applies to say scenarios where some amount of reasoning needs to be applied, right? And say few shot, your chain of thought, all of these things, right? You will see that even one shot, right? You will see that say a lot of this is mostly applicable when you have to apply some reasoning, right? Say for example, you have a problem statement that requires a particular say line of thought to be followed, right? So say maybe you have to add two things together, then multiply it with something else and things of that sort, where reasoning and some sort of mathematical operations are required. It's always better to give some examples saying, okay, so if this scenario happens, then this is how we will address this use case, or this is how we will address this question. and this is the response that we are expecting. Now, based on that or similar to that, I have this question to ask you. How do you progress with this, right? So when you construct it that way, yeah, the expected response that you're getting from the bot or from the platform will be better, right? Now moving on from say one shot and few short examples, say there is this whole concept of role-based prompting, right? So role-based prompting is you assign a persona um, to the bot itself, right? So you say, hey, assume you are, say for example, assume you are a professor in the electronics department who's going to take a class on DSP, right? And now, so you set this and then say, hey, now say if you have to take, you're taking the first class, right? And you have to cover say such and such topics. How would you go about say doing this, right? And what is the latest that is happening in along the lines of the class that we're taking, so that I can explain it to my students. Then say what this would do is this would come out with responses which is much more contextual to the question that you're asking, right? Because you've assigned it a persona. So the LLM itself would go and start searching say documents and its own knowledge bases based on say the assigned persona to it. So the next one after that is this whole concept of chain of thought, right? So now chain of thought is, so what is in a way related, somewhat related to say the way we humans also so kind of think and respond, right? So which is, so if we get a problem statement, if somebody asks us a question, or if there is a situation that we are in and we have to say solve for something, right? So assume say we are stuck somewhere and we have a breakdown, right? A car breakdown, and what do we do next, right? So in our brain, even without us knowing it, say there are say steps that things that comes in, right? Say for example, okay, maybe call for a mechanic, call your insurance company. They are not there, then say try to say Google for say how to say change the car, change the tire, or if you know how to do it, then try doing it yourself. So all these say steps actually say goes through our mind, right? So similarly, so when you ask a question and you specify that, hey, can you break it down into step by step, right? And for each of the individual steps that are involved, say can you reason as to why that is required, right? So if you put that in the prompt and send it, the LLM again will say break down uh, the response into individual steps. It will itself reason, right? See whether that is correct or not, and then it will say come back with a full-fledged answer to the question that we have asked. And the final thing is say also say specifying the output structure, right? How do you want the response to be from the system, right? Say do you want it in so nowadays with in ChatGPT and things like that, you would have maybe already seen scenarios where you can ask it to say give the output as a PPT, right? Or give the output as a Word document, Excel and things of that sort, right? Or even in LaTeX format and all those things, which is required for research publications and things around that space, right? And you can also do say final thing is you can also do instruction tuning, which is you can say specify, hey, I want this with say 1,000 words, right? Or say I want this in this particular say format, or I want this to be specific for say the Indian market during monsoon season. So all those things, say you can specify constraints, you can specify the total length, the format, all those things you can do nowadays with with any of these tools that we are going to look at, right? I'll take a pause here and just wanted to see if there are any questions on what we have covered till now. I'll stop sharing for a second.
Sir,
Yeah,
just one small question. I don't know whether it is in sense or not, but sometimes I gave the prompt like you are a researcher and you
yeah,
have to find this like this, or at times I've given I am a researcher. So
yeah,
which will give me correct or what will be the authenticity percentage in both
yeah.
the cases?
So ideally speaking, both should work, right? So I mean that again is just one portion of the query that you're going to send into the platform in a way, right? So if
Yeah.
it's ChatGPT or Gemini, whichever one it is. So in the first case, you're saying that say effectively it would understand that it has to act as a researcher, right? So if you say I am a researcher and I'm trying to say find out, say in this topic, say I want to say find out, say maybe the use of, say how do we use quantum
Air
computing,
conditioner.
or
Yeah.
or say for example, so if it's say say what is the latest say technology that's say maybe saving power while using AC, right? Air conditioning,
Yeah.
things like that. So if you want to do some sort of research, you can say I'm a researcher working on this topic of um, finding the latest say mechanisms in saving power, reducing power consumption while running air conditioners, right? So maybe something like that. So the same thing you can flip it the other way that you said also, right? Which is you are so which is say you are specifically assigning a persona, right, to the point that we saw there,
Yes, sir.
specifying a persona to the LLM or to the agent, and then you're saying, hey, assume you are a researcher and you are tasked with say finding the latest, sorry, the best methods, the top 5 methods, maybe to say.
Correct.
So something like that. So you can do both actually, ma'am.
No, I tried both, sir, and it
Yeah.
is giving me result. I am asking about the authenticity. In what case I will get the maximum correctness?
Yeah. So for correctness, say for correctness, so if you have to bring in correctness or if you want to bring in authenticity, right, which is see in a way for you also to validate whether the response is correct. There are other say what you say addendas that you have to do in addition to say setting the persona, right? Which is say one is you can ask you can tell the agent to say give you the actual references from which the answers was constructed.
Based on, yeah.
Was based on, right? So which is the best mechanism, especially when we are using say ChatGPT, Perplexity and all those things, so that it would know that it cannot hallucinate, right? I mean, if you want to assign human like say capabilities or feelings to it, then it's about say then if we are asking for references and if it gives a reference and we find out that it is not working correctly, right? At the end of the day, the agents, LLMs and all are say are managed by humans, right? So they would try their level best that when they put in guardrails, so to say, right? So guardrails and safety mechanisms in so there are guardrails and safety mechanisms that will ensure that, okay, say for example, it does not say send back any what to say personally identifiable informations. It does not do any sort of toxic language or abusive language and that sort. So those guardrails are inbuilt. So especially in our say prompt, when we include things like give me justification, give me references on how you have constructed this response, you would see that your this thing goes up, your authenticity goes up much more.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. Any other questions?
So we can continue the session.
Yeah. Okay. If no other questions, I think we can. Yeah.
Yeah. If there are some questions, we can take between. Either we can continue.
So, okay. So now that say we have looked at the various prompting aspects, right? Say some of the practical examples, right? Again, like research, obviously something that we're going to look at, right? Research and literature review and all those things is something that we're going to look at today. So some of the other use cases, obviously, in addition to what we already saw, right, is say, for example, you want to say there is maybe this example is say probably from an older topic that is obviously there, right? I mean, DSP, design a 6-week DSP module with labs, but say supposing say you want to take a brand new topic that is there, right? So say maybe for LLMs itself, right? What is agentic AI, right? What is agentic AI and the applications of agentic AI? How do you build agentic AI, right? So if you want to design a short course for the students, right? Then you can actually ask ChatGPT to design a syllabus for it, design a set of topics for it, and also generate the initial content, right? Obviously, say the initial content that gets generated, we will have to say go do say research at our end and things like that, and then say build more with respect to say the content that gets generated. Obviously, that is something that we'll have to do at our end, right? But yeah, these are some of the practical other practical examples that we can do with the capabilities that these platforms bring about, right? So again, to the question that ma'am had also asked, right? So what are some of the prompt refinement strategies? Say one is, say, you can start with a broad-based approach, right? I mean, the zero-shot approach, right? Say you can say what is printed circuit board, right? Or say what is TSP, how is it is used, and all those things. So you can start with that, right? Next is you can assign a role, right? So role is say as a professor in, say, in the mechanical engineering department, right? Or as a professor in electronics department, you assume you have to, say, take this course on VLSI design, right? Or you have to take this course on propulsion engineering, right? And as part of this, you have to cover this topics today. So you can assign roles and add further context there, right? And then you can also mention, say, you can also say things like, say, improve the format, the response format and context, right? So you can ask, hey, give, say, real life examples, right? Or give, say, some examples and references from the latest research that has happened, right? Or say news articles that are there. So you can include that as part of the content that you're going to take and say to your students, something so that sort. And then finally, you can say in what approach you want it, right? Do you want it to be, say, technical? Do you want it to be formalized? Do you want it to be, say, less formal, more casual, right? So all those things also you can, say, kind of specify along with the prompt approach that you give to the platform, right? To the bot. And say, having looked at what are, say, some of the approaches for prompting and, say, the how do you refine prompts, see, these are some things that we should, say, try to avoid as much as possible, right? And which are basically the prompting pitfalls, right? Which is, say, how do you ensure that I mean, we basically have to ensure that there are no vague inputs that are given, right? So because vague inputs would, say, obviously lead to um, very poor and very incorrect and, say, even, say, hallucination kind of scenarios where the response from the LLM agent will be completely unrelated to what we are even asking for, right? Or what we wanted to get from it, right? Then again, this whole concept of, so while yes, you need to, say, input, say, things like, say, you need to assign a persona, you need to, say, define, say, what is the output that you want, what is the context you want to set the context, all those things that you saw in the earlier slide, right? Say, add role, say, polish it, and define, say, what format you want it, and all those things. While you would want to do all of that, one thing that we have to make sure is we don't end up overloading the prompt, right? And also, say, define things or mention things in the prompt which leads to confusion, right? Because that again will lead to, say, at the end of the day, it's like talking to a child, right? I mean, if you want to bring that analogy, so certain cases, say, depending on the kind of the manner in which you ask something to a teenager, for example, right, the response that you get from the teenager will also vary, right? So you can consider that an LLM agent is almost like behaving like a teenager, right? Yeah. So then again, so this point, right? No output validation. So this in a way relates to the discussion that I think ma'am had also asked earlier, right? Which is, say, how do we ensure that the response from that we are getting from these agents, right, or from these platforms, whether it is correct or not, right? So that is where, say, if you don't include any output validations, then, say, the likelihood of the responses being erroneous in nature, the likelihood of the responses being a hallucination of the bot would be higher, right? And the information that we get could also be highly unreliable, right? And yeah, so then obviously the last one, which is, say, skipping refinement, right? So which is, say, you don't mention, say, things like, say, what is the format of the output that you want, say, what is the who's the end audience, right? Whom are you preparing this for? right? And things of that sort, right? So if you miss all of those things, so then again, the response that you get may not be all that ideal, right? Yeah. So, yeah. So to summarize, say finally, say define the audience. Before that, also say define the persona for the agent, define the audience, specify the format, provide additional context to say what is this for and things of that sort, right? Where are you going to use this for? How are you going to use this for? And then say give follow-ups and ask say iterative questions and all those things, right? So these are generally best practices for improving the prompt. The responses that you get through the prompts that we give to the agents, right? Okay, so with this, I'll go to Perplexity, right? Just wanted to see if all of you have created, say, Perplexity. So like ChatGPT and Gemini and things like that, Perplexity also gives us free, option to have a free access to it, right? I mean, a free login, right? I hope all of you have created Perplexity IDs. If not, I would say recommend you guys.
We have downloaded it
Okay.
already in a day before session.
Oh, you have already done it. Okay, then that's good. Okay. All right. So I'll share my screen. Hope the screen is visible, right? Where you're able to see Perplexity screen, right? So in Perplexity, see, you have two options, right? Again, I have also not upgraded to Pro, right? So I'm also using only the free version. And say in Perplexity, there are two options that you have, right? So one is, say, you can ask fast answers, right? Say where it does not necessarily go and do, say, deep research. The other is you have an option to say choose this, which is say deep research, right? But again, say you in a non-pro version, you have a limitation on say how many queries you can run in a day, right? In some cases, in a month, and all those things, right? The last option is also again. So this again is available only for say pro users, which is say if you want the research that is created, you want to convert that into say maybe a Excel, right? Or you want to convert that into a Word document, that is also possible, right? So this, if I'm not mistaken, with a rate limit, with the limit in number of times you can do it, is available in the ChatGPT free version itself, right? So in ChatGPT free version, say this option, right, which is say converting your idea, say whatever say discussions that you have with the agent, with the platform, can be converted into say a PPT or a Word document or an Excel in ChatGPT in the free version itself. But in Perplexity, you have to have say pro license, right? So essentially say you can toggle amongst all of this, right? But some of them are available, like I said, it's available only. This is available only if you are a pro subscriber, whereas the other ones again with the limit is available, right? So the one that is there obviously is for without any rate limit and things like that is the natural normal search option, right? Now we also have options to choose a model, right? So again, I've generally not changed what you say the model. I just let the engine select the bot, but generally in the market, say what we have seen in the past, right? Or sorry, based on say what we've seen in other say scenarios and things like that, the Claude Force on it, especially if you're say trying to use this for generating code, right? So especially for say folks from computer department, IT, and AI folks who are taking say those kind of courses, if you want to generate code bases, right? Say that you want to explain, or you have code bases, you want to say upload the code base and generate a documentation or readme for the code base, right? Or a documentation, a high level design from the code low level design from the code base and all those things. All this can be done again using these tools itself, right? So you have options to upload and all those things, right? Again, Perplexity, if it is the free version, you have a limit on the number of things that you can upload in a day, right? I think it's 3 for the day, right? So generally, if it is code related things that you want to either generate a code or you have code available, right? Your software code available, and you want to do some, you want to say generate this documentations, you want to create low-level design documents, you want to build your README files for a GitHub or a Bitbucket check-in and things of that sort. Claude 4 Sonnet is generally better in that case, right? Yeah, so your pure document related things, sorry, your pure search, chat GPT, I mean GPT 401, right, is also as effective, right, as Perplexity, right? But generally what I've seen is Perplexity's fast model is good enough for most of the researchers, and especially for even the deep research, that if you want to get to do that, right? So yeah, so that's the option to basically choose a model. So by default, when we ask something, what Perplexity does is it goes and searches everything in the website and then comes back, everything in the internet and then comes back, right? But if you want to say specify a source, right, you can say either say that, okay, search these academic papers alone, right, which becomes, say, more I mean, say you can say especially when you're doing this, right? So you choose this, right, which is search, say, do deep research, and then you add this as a source, right? Sorry, you add this as a source, right? You change it from web, you change it to academic, right? And then you take this out. Then this will be much more, say, what closer to what you're, say, maybe looking for, right? So those are options that Perplexity gives in addition to, say, directly just going and searching, right? So say let's maybe look at some say if you want to do a deep research, right? So let's maybe give a topic, right? Let's say again, let's try to say put in the concepts that we saw just now, right? Which is, say, assigning a role and all those things, right? So let's say assume you are a research assistant working in the computer department, right, of an engineering college, right? You have to create a small summary of by doing literature review, right, of literature review related to, let's say, quantum computation for AI, right? AI, running AI models, right? AI workloads, right? So this, so we have assigned. So what is that? We have assigned a role or a persona to the agent, and we have also ironed out what the task is, right? So now, say we have to bring in those other concepts that we saw, right? So please make sure the output highlights. Hello. Sorry, is there a question? Okay. Output highlights important concepts as bulleted points, and you also provide, so again, to that other discussion that we had, right? How do you ensure that the response that you're going to get from Perplexity or any of the platforms for that matter, right, whether that is backed by actual real references, or whether it is a hallucination that the bot is doing, right, or the agent is doing, right? So for that you say, and also for also give references from where the summary was created, such that I review the authenticity, right, of summary, right? So this is something that, say, this is again, so these are, say, some approaches that, say, I have personally taken in the past and things like that, based on, say, what I've seen and what, say, experimentations we have gone through, right? I would say in the last, say, 18, 19 months, right? So now again, I think we set our, so, okay.
Getting low sound, sir.
What happened? Sound is not coming through, is it?
Please increase the volume, sir.
Are you able to hear me properly?
Now, sir. Now, okay, sir.
Now, okay. Maybe it's a internet issue. So if it still happens, I'll maybe mute the video, right, to improve the bandwidth.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, so we'll choose, say, academic as search academic papers for this, right? So so we have done all these things that we saw earlier, right? Which is, we have assigned a persona, we have called out what it needs to do, right? So as a research assistant working in the computer department of an engineering college, right? So this is, we have asked it to do a literature review on related to, say, let's say quantum computing for running AI workloads, right? So assume this is a topic which we want to do some, say, we want to, say, do this literature review, we want to, say, get additional details about this, right? Say maybe to take a class, or maybe for us to, say, maybe create a presentation on this, right? So to take a or even for us to just to understand it a little better, right, this concept. So we have assigned a persona, we have assigned a task. Now, in addition to that, we are also, say, trying to give it more context as to how we want the response, right? So that it becomes easier for us to, say, assimilate and understand, which is where we say, please make sure the output highlights important concepts as bullet points, right? So it becomes easier to read, right? And then finally, how do you ensure that the agent does not end up hallucinating? So for that, we say, we are asking it to give references from where the summary was created, so that we can review that authenticity, right? Now, and then what we did is, in Perplexity, as you would have seen, I'll again show. So you have these three options, right? In that, you are choosing this option for to be able to do deep research on any topic, right? But again, note that as a free user, right, or a free tier user, we'll be able to do this only 2 queries in a day, right? I mean, and then we have chosen as a source, right, which is by clicking here as a source, we have chosen academic research papers, right? And I've given this. So what you see here, right? So when we have chosen deep research, what you will see is, this is actually Perplexity is laying down the steps that it is internally taking, right? So if you see here, right, on the screen, you're seeing that, okay, I need to review. So here, I need to review is the bot is telling itself, right? So it's almost like the chain of thought process that we saw earlier, right? So there are two related concepts in prompt engineering. One is chain of thought prompting, and something called as a React framework, right? Which is, say, now, in addition to chain of thought, how do you also bring in action for the agent? So here it is taking those actions, right? It is saying, okay, I need to review recent literature on quantum computation and its applications to gather relevant information for understanding current research. Now, for this, what does it do? The action that it does is, it is running, say, maybe a Google search or a Bing search in the backend, right? To identify, say, literature content that is there and to bring it back, right? So I think it is now generating the output that we wanted, right? Yeah, it is generating the output that we wanted, right? And it has, I think it has completed, right? Yeah. So what it has now come back is, it has come back and then said, right? So the literature review examines the current state. So it is giving us a summary, right? Computation and synthesizing findings from recent systematic reviews and technical papers. The intersection of quantum computing and AI presents significant opportunities for. So, okay, so this is that, say, the summary of what it has done, right? And then it goes on to explain say, how do you use quantum computing in AI applications, right? What are the key concepts? So, and like we requested it to do, right, in a way, what we had instructed it to do in the prompt, it has now given us, say, the key concepts, key challenges and limitations, all these things as bulleted points, right? So that it becomes easier for us to, say, assimilate and read and understand, right? In addition to that, remember, we also asked it to give us references, right? So it has given us references from where it has gone ahead and picked up this information, right? Now, if you go here, right, see, you also see things like, say, sources, right? Say some of the sources that it has used for this one, right? And also what was the task. So if you want to see how did the Perplexity's back engine, the engine basically go ahead and do this. So that is defined here, right? It shows the tasks that it had gone through, right? So what it says is, it says that first, it says I need to review recent literature on quantum computation and its application in AI to gather relevant information for understanding current research trends. So this basically it is understood. So we can also verify, right? Again, this again relates to that whole authenticity thing that we have, right? So here it is giving clear cut steps as to what, sorry, it's giving the clear cut details on, say, what steps it undertook to respond to the question that we had asked or the prompt that we had asked, right? So we can in a way verify whether approach it had taken is correct or not, right? So, and then you see it had gone and done these kind of, what to say, researches, right? So searches. So these searches could be in your Google research forums, right? Or it could even be in an archive.org, right? Or say maybe in Scientific American. So any of these things that Perplexity internally will have access to, right? So it goes and does all of these, say, searches there, and then it lists the sources, right? Which is also mentioned here, right? Then it says, I am searching for recent surveys. So after this, right? After this, what am I going to do? So I am searching for recent surveys and reviews related to quantum machine learning, quantum neural networks and all those things, right? And quantum AI workflows to gather comprehensive information on current development and research trends in this field, right? So this has realized that, okay, the LLM has realized that this is what I have to do, right? As part of the prompt or the request that has come to me, this is what I have to do, right? And it does all those researchers and all those things, right? And so that's the chain of thought. And then what's the action? The action is I am accessing these URLs to gather detailed information from academic and scientific sources, which will help in providing a comprehensive and well-informed response, right? So if you see here, it has gone to ArcSci, it has gone to Springer, right? It has gone to IEEE, right? All these, say, frontiers.in, right? So your classical, say, repositories, which you would also naturally go through to understand and garner research papers and research content, right? So now it is telling itself, right? So after doing some searches, it is saying, okay, decision to terminate the search, right, was made because enough relevant information has been gathered across various topics, ensuring a comprehensive understanding without the need for further searches, right? So otherwise, say, this is internally also showing the workings of the bot, right? So this is not like a endless loop that where it will keep searching for a lot of documents, like it will go through. So it will also has a limit, say maybe it will look for, say, 10 or 15, say, critical papers that are there for this, right? And then user is asking me to create a small summary, right? So after I search, what do? The user has asked me to create a small summary by doing a literature review related to quantum computation for running AI workloads, right? And user explicitly asked for literature review summary related to this one, right? And high important concepts as bulleted points provide references for authenticity. Let me look at the research results to see what's relevant, right? So from this, you can also see what is the approach that Perplexity's, say, backend engine has taken to create the response that we were looking for, right? Which in a way is also a mechanism for us as end users to verify whether the output was in the line, or at least the approach that the platform has taken, that Perplexity has taken, is along the lines of what we actually want, right? So you can look at the steps and then see whether there is any mistake in the steps that was taken, right? Which means, okay, if there are mistakes in the steps that was taken, then the response could be wrong there itself, right? Second is, because we had explicitly said that we want the references, it has shown the references in the response itself, right? Even otherwise, you can go to this thing called as sources, right? With Perplexity, you have these advantages, which is not there with ChatGPT. You can go to this section called as sources and then see which are the source documents that it has looked at, right? Any questions here in the approach that we have taken here? I'll stop sharing the screen.
Sir, Perplexity is a
Yeah.
purely research paper writing tool, or it can produce any kind of result.
Yeah. So this is just like, so the
Whether
thing
it is a research paper writing, particular research paper writing tool, or whether it can produce a result like ChatGPT general result.
So this is actually like a chat GPT engine itself, right? Only difference is this has the ability to do research. Additionally, you can specifically specify that, hey, what I want to do is I want you to do a research for me, right? And you can choose that option, right? So if I, so if I go and open a new one, right? Only problem is, yeah.
So its AI is sir, its AI is more tuned for research work. That means, right?
It has an AI that is tuned for research work. So if you see here, right, sir? So if you see my screen now, right? So I've opened a new search bar, right? So you see here, you see these small logos below the search bar, right? In Perplexity. So here you can choose what kind of engine you want to run in the backend, right? What is the level of, say, what kind of search that you want to run in the backend, right? So to your point, sir, if you choose this, right, which is the normal search, it will work just like ChatGPT, right? In fact, the thing is now even in ChatGPT, you can use it for research, right? So ChatGPT, Gemini, all of these things, there the differences in the prompt, you have to mention that clearly, right? Saying that you have to say do deep research and come back and things like that. However, what I have generally seen is with Perplexity, especially for your, say, research kind of work, Perplexity is a little better than the other two, right? Again, it could vary from time to time, and say the models keep improving and all those things. This is as of now and based on my personal experience, right? Again, not either against, not supporting Perplexity or not trying to promote Perplexity on top of ChatGPT or Gemini, but based on what I've seen. So if you choose here, this will be like a normal search, right? So here you want to say, hey, can you give me a review of the movie, the latest, what is that, Mission Impossible movie that came or something like that. It's a normal searches. Or say I want to travel from Kochi to Pune, right? Which are the best mechanisms. So all these, say, normal day-to-day searches you can do run while you choose this option here in Perplexity. Whereas if you want to do deep research, you see this option, right, sir? The second one, which is almost like almost like an atom's blown up version model of an atom, right? So if you click here, then see, you see the prompt also changes. Sorry, the in your search bar also changes, right? Here it says ask anything, right? Whereas here now it says research anything, right? Now in addition to this, so this is the choice of what level of, say, search or what kind of search you want to run in the backend. Next is you also can set the sources, right? You can limit the sources. So when you want to do academic research, when you want to do, say, this kind of literature review and things of that sort, the advised approach, right? The best practice basically is you also choose this option, which is do deep research on any topic. In addition to that, you go here, you see this option, right, which shows what kind of sources you want to select. You click on that and you click this option, right? You see these 4 options are there: web, academic, social, and finance, right? So you can choose academic as the option, right? So you see the logo also changes, right? Now with these 2 changes that you make to the search options, you can then go ahead and, say, type in your, say, prompt that is specific to the research that you plan to do or literature review that you plan to do. I hope that is clear.
Sir, I have one
Sir,
question.
there is a question.
Yeah.
Sir,
Sir.
what is is there any difference between the free users response we get as a free user and as a paid user? Though there is a limitation of number of responses, but the content which we get for free user and paid, is there any difference between that?
Understood. So ideally speaking, there is no difference. Just there is a difference in the, or at least that is what all these all these platforms claim, right? That the response content is basically the same, right? So what happens is say in ChatGPT, you might have seen, right? If you're a regular user of ChatGPT, you would see that if you're a free user, I'm a free user in all these platforms, right? I have not paid in any of these ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity. So in ChatGPT, if you're continuously using it in a day, after a certain limit, so now you know there are different levels of LLMs that are there, right? So ChatGPT itself, underlying there are GPT models that power ChatGPT, right? So you have it started off in 2023. When it started off, it was GPT 3.5. That was the backend LLM that was powering ChatGPT. Now you have things like GPT 4.0, 4.0 mini, 4.1. There are, say, a lot of other variations of LLMs that have come, which say increases the latency, right? Reduces the latency, reduces the total token usage, right? Reduces and also improves the quality of the output and all those things, right? So in ChatGPT, if you are a free user, after a certain limit in a day, you would see that at the bottom itself in ChatGPT, it will come up and then say, hey, your free usage limit for the day is done. The responses will be generated using 3.5. I think it says 3.5 or it says a lower model, right? So in ChatGPT, explicitly it says that the model that is going to be used is an earlier version and also versions that were obviously, say, not all that well known for the response that comes, right? So in ChatGPT, you can because it becomes that it is kind of understood that the response after that message comes is probably the content that is generated is not to the same quality that was coming before that, say, usage limit is hit, right? But then again, the only difference is for a free user, there is a limit to the number of queries you can ask, right? Until that, the content will be from the same model, right? From the same high quality model. After the usage limit is hit, you will still get response, but the responses will be of a lower earlier and lower quality model, right? So when you are
Sir,
still, yeah.
when it goes shift to lower model, and in our next question, if we ask GPT to refer to previous responses, will
Yeah.
it refer that higher version
Refer.
responses and generate
refer.
the best result?
So the memory it will keep the memory.
Okay.
Right. And having said that, it will still, only difference is you might have to ask a little further. You might have to have further iterative, say, discussions with so you consider, again, like I said, if you want to think of it as a teenager, right? You can think of it as a teenager, and then you can ask, say, further questions to refine the response. So that is always there, even if it shifts to a smaller or an earlier version of the model, right? And the memory it will keep, right? It will have memory, it will have references, right? Again, say here, if you see in Perplexity, so nowadays all these platforms you can see, you see here, right? So if I want to, so there is something called as Perplexity Labs, right? So which is, say, if I want this to generate, so earlier you saw it created. So if I go back here, right, it created this literature review, right? Now you say, let's assume you want to convert this into a PPT, right? Or you want this to be downloaded rather than copy pasting it and then putting it in a Word document. You want this to directly generate this as a doc, right? So that is now possible if you upgrade to Pro and then you choose this option, right? Which is, say, Labs, right? So first is search, second is research, the third is labs. You choose labs. Again, if you're a pro user, you can do it directly. In ChatGPT, the difference is you can convert the output that you get from that the platform generates. You can ask it directly, right? As long as you are still within that, say, free usage limit, you can ask the platform to convert the response into a Word document or a PPT or a Excel, right? So that's very much possible in ChatGPT right now. But in Perplexity, you have to be a pro user to do that.
Sir, there is a question.
Yes, yeah, please go ahead.
How does Perplexity impact the quality of AI-generated research summaries and literature reviews?
How does Perplexity?
How does Perplexity impact the quality of AI-generated research summaries and literature reviews?
So generally, what what I've read about Perplexity is that especially for research related tasks, right? So say doing this summaries and literature review summaries and things like that, Perplexity's capabilities actually much better specifically with reference to this than say maybe a GPT or a Gemini, right? So again, specifically for this kind of say workloads and this kind of say request, so to say. All right. So so the review summary that you get and all those things generally is supposed to be of a higher quality, right, when it comes from Perplexity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Any other questions here? So unlike in say a ChatGPT or Gemini, what you would also see with Perplexity, right? And the reason why say a lot of people are kind of say looking at perplexity.ai now, right? So there are say what there are I was reading some article recently where it says that now in the US especially perplexity.ai is so this Google searches, right? I mean, all of us we were born in that era where Google was the go-to platform, right? In fact, we have worked in that era where say Google was the go-to platform for say most of the searches, right? I mean, be it academic, be it say professional, be it even for say any day-to-day our daily life related activities also, right? So and as a result of which globally until 2023, if I'm not mistaken, 94% of the global internet searches, right, searches that happens globally was on Google search, right, and the rest 6% was on Bing, right, Microsoft's Bing. But ever since Microsoft Bing connected ChatGPT engine, the GPT engine to its searches, and Perplexity came in 23 and 24, Google's monopoly, right? Or it still has monopoly, but the percentage of searches has come down from 94% to say 90% or 91% and all, right? And Perplexity within its short span of last 1 year, 1% to 1.5% of the world's searches now happens on Perplexity, right? So which shows that Perplexity is slowly becoming the tool of choice when it comes to all sort of searches. Again, not just research, but all sorts of searches, right? So if you see here, one of, again, from an end user perspective, right? So another good feature that you would see in Perplexity is this, right? So it gives you, say, related to the question that we had asked, related to the prompt that we had sent in, it gives you, say, some related questions, right? So if you, which is, say, you've done this literature review, now you want to say, get some more inputs, right? So for example, how do quantum models and circuits contribute to accelerating machine learning tasks in AI? You want to know some details, right? So you just have to do plus. And if you see, this is highly relevant and highly contextual to the question that we had asked or the prompt that we had initially sent it, right? Saying how can quantum computation enhance AI workloads through improved processing speed and efficiency, right? So these are naturally itself, it generates some related topics which might be more relevant for us, right? Again, all this will lead to additional, say, token usage and all those things. But when we are in that mode, when we want to do some research, when we are naturally getting this, it becomes easier for us to say, go ahead and complete, say, the whole research line of work that we are doing, the literature review that we want to do and all those things, right? So this is another additional features that I have found is good, is pretty useful in Perplexity compared to any of the other platforms, right? So that's on literature review, right? We have maybe 20 minutes left, right? So I also wanted to cover kind of, say, citation extraction and things of that sort, right? So one second, I'll okay, so this is something that I've already done. So I'll just show you that, right? So supposing, say, you have a So this is again using just Gemini, right? Because Gemini, you have a lot of these free credits and all those things. Is my screen visible? I hope the screen is visible, right? Where you're able to see Gemini, right? So see with Gemini, again, say what you can do is in this, say with, to a great extent, you can do in ChatGPT also, right? So now you have, say maybe you have done literature review, right? You have done literature review, it has given you references, and supposing you want to say do some more say reading, right? Or you found that in the references that is given, you want a, you're looking at one or two specific say research papers that are mentioned there, and you want to say create a summary of just those papers, right? Or you want to say further information from the paper, maybe you want to say get the citations out and all those things, right? So assuming you are doing that as a next step, right? Then so you can go say if it's an archive, most often than not you will be able to download the document, right? Or if it is even say if you have IEEE membership, you will be able to download the papers, right? Otherwise, in some cases, I think you might have to say go I mean a paid route if it's if it's Scientific American or any of those other sites, right? So now here in Gemini, what we can do is, and say let's assume say in this case I downloaded this say particular research paper, right? I'll just show that. One second, let me share that paper. So this is a very famous paper, especially if say in the field of AI, right? Because this paper by Google back in I think 2017 kind of is the backbone that is driving all the LLMs, right? Transformer architecture, right? How do you, from in the world of natural language processing, this was kind of a watershed moment, I would say, in 2017, right? So where they came out this whole concept of, I mean, attention is all you need, right? Which is in a NLP block, I mean, in your neural network architecture, how do you bring in self attention, right? How do you ensure that the model itself learns that, okay, what are the keywords or what are the key context that is there in a sentence or in a paragraph or in a Word document and things like that. So this is this paper was I think published towards end of 2017, right? So this is like I think a 18 or 20 pager, 15 pages, I think, right? A 15 pager document, right? So now this one, I'll again go back to the other screen. You go to Gemini, you have an option to say upload the file, right? You just click on upload. You go here and then you say choose this and then you say upload, right? Since I've already uploaded, I'm not doing that again, right? I'll do cancel. So you do that and then I've just mentioned, please use the attached research PDF for all future discussions in this session, right? So it has already come back and then say, okay, this document is a research paper titled Attention is All You Need. It introduces Transformer, a new network architecture based entirely on attention mechanism, doing away with the recurrence and convolution. So earlier, before that, there used to be RNNs and LSTMs and all those things. If I mean, for those of you who are familiar with the NLP evolution, right? So, and it says, okay, these are the authors. It gives you, I think it also gives you say references into the web page again and all those things, right? And it also gives a short summary, even without us asking itself, it has given a short summary already, right? Now I'm saying, can you summarize? I'm just asking, right? Because if say, supposing I want to say extract the citations here, right? So it's saying, can you summarize the citations and provide the same to me, right? And it comes back and says, okay, certainly here is a summary of citations provided in the document, right? And if you see here, all the references that is there now is with respect to the document that we uploaded, and it's not with respect to anything from online, right? So if you see all these links that is there, right? So this what it indicates is there are multiple references of this particular message that is there, right? So this is how say maybe you can say leverage Gemini or so I actually wanted to show this one, right? Are you able to see this screen where it says custom GPT.ai? If not, I'll share and stop and share my screen again. I hope you're able to see this one, right? The screen you're able to see, right? Yeah, okay, thank you, sir. Yeah, so here, so custom GPT.ai is another say, I would say, research platform. This is specifically for research, right? So I think to an earlier question, I think Prashant or someone had asked, right, whether Perplexity is specific to research. Perplexity, you can use it, like I showed it, you can use it for various tasks, but this particular platform, custom GPT.ai researcher, is specifically meant for research, right? So you can ask it to do a lot of research and things like that. And here there are two options. One is you want to do search internally doing a Google search, or the same way we worked with Gemini, right? Which is you have say 1 or 2 papers and you want the responses to be with respect to what is there in that particular document. In that case, you can go to custom knowledge, right? But unfortunately, see, these guys, until I think last month, if I'm not mistaken, this custom knowledge was also available, or at least say at least 2-3 months back, because I think I've used it in the past. Custom knowledge was also available in the free version. Now I think they've converted into, say, they've realized that this is a good way to make money. Maybe a lot of people were utilizing it. So it is now only available in the premium option. So that's why I initially wanted to show this platform for that. Say, how do you extract information from a PDF, a research PDF, specific, and ask questions specific to that particular, say, PDF itself, right? But the same thing now we can do in, sorry, 1 second. Same thing now we can do in Gemini itself, right? Earlier, we can do it here. So again, same as Perplexity here, say, for example, if you want to do deep research, right? I'll show some of the researches that I've probably done in the past, right? So see, I work in I have a data and AI company, right? So we do have to do a lot of these, say, market research and things of that sort for us to, say, prepare, say, what to say, presentations when we go meet our clients, right? So for example, I had given this task to it, which is, say, you have to create a high quality research report on trends in retail, right? So similarly, create a high quality research report up to 2,000 words on how, I think this was more about, let's go here and then see, right? Let me see if it shows the work trends on, okay, it doesn't show the full one. Huh? Yeah, create a high quality research report with up to 2,000 words on trends related to returns management and AI interventions for returns reduction for shoe industry, right? So this was a specific topic that I'd asked it to create in custom GPT.ai, right? It came back with the market research report, right? With, if you see, all this is information that it had created by itself, right? In fact, I can use this directly also, right? I can directly send this to a client if required. Again, the purpose is different. For me, it is more market research, but this is another platform, custom GPT.ai, which again, now they have converted it into a paid model, right? As a result of which you can only do 1 or 2 searches in a month, right? But this is also very much tuned for deep research, right? Just like that research option that you have in Perplexity. So that's what I primarily wanted to cover today. Wanted to know if there are any additional questions.
Sir, many upon time I had came across some sentence that updating memory update while generating the response. Sir, what is that?
Yeah, so essentially, so that again, I mean, so in your computer architecture, so you have this whole concept of stateless, stateful and stateless architectures, right? So an LLM by default is stateless, right? It does not keep memory, right? But say there are mechanisms around it through which memory is kept as context and then, say, fed into the LLM when you ask a question, right? So that is what essentially happens when it says updating memory, right? So when you are in a session, so for ChatGPT or Perplexity, right? So you have asked a question and now you want to ask related questions then that means that the LLM should know what was the question that was asked earlier and what response it gave for that response, right? So that's why it has to periodically update the memory so that when we ask iterative and interactive questions with respect to a particular chat session that is going on, the model will be able to say respond accurately, for which memory needs to be updated.
Sir, similar question related to this only. Suppose I am browsing today with some topic on ChatGPT, and after 4 days again I open the same chat session. Now, will it recall that all the memory or data it has?
It will, yes. But only thing is, so for example, so here I'll show it in perplexities with respect, right? So where is perplexity? Did I close it? Sorry, 1 second. I think I closed. No, it's here. Sorry. Why is this not showing? Why is it still showing? You're able to see perplexity, right? Yeah. So here, so you have home, right? So you go here. So next time you click on that particular search, right? If you click on that particular search and then ask a question, it will know that the question is related to what was asked and what was responded last time. So only thing is you have to go to that specific chat itself.
Thank you, sir.
And not open a new chat, right? So if I open a new chat, it will be completely different. But say in ChatGPT also, you will have a accordion where you will see all your past chats, right? You click on that chat, it will load all the chats from the past. Then it will know that the questions and discussions that's going to happen is with respect to that.
Sir, one more question.
Yeah.
If there are, when we use regularly ChatGPT and other GPTs, and we have lots of chat sessions, so is there any prompt like we can ask GPT to connect this to say two chats of different sessions? Like we have.
Yeah, I've not tried it, but I believe it is possible, right? Because there was this thing that was there recently where say you can go and ask ChatGPT to define who we are based on our chats, right? Or the questions that we have asked. So that is only possible because it is able to go through all the chats and then come back with the summary, right? So
Sir,
that is
then
possible. I've not tried it
will
before.
there be, sir,
Sorry.
there will be then that we specify the role. There will be a changes in the role then.
So generally when you ask, say that kind of thing, right, which is says create a summary across all these things, then generally you don't specify a role right there, right? Because because they are the task that you're assigning to the agent, right? To the platform basically is to summarize your own chats. That's it, right? So there you don't have to define roles and all those things. You're just going and saying, hey, can you summarize the chats for me, right? So that way there is no need for defining roles for those kind of tasks.
Sir, one more question, last one.
Yeah.
Sir, is there any limit for the size of the prompt, and is there any limit for the uploading documents or files? Limitation over that.
Size of the document, that I'll have to check, right? Up to what limit, say in free versions we can search. So generally say prompt context, say you have, say, I think 2,000 or 3,000 words that you can type to up to, right? So beyond that, I think it will throw an error saying that the context window is huge. But up to, I think 2,000 or 3,000 words you can actually type.
In the free version, there is a limit, sir.
Yeah, I think that is what the 2,000 or 3,000. In fact, I think we can ask here itself, right? This one itself, is there a limit in the prompt that I can give to limit in the prompt size, right? So we can ask this itself, we can see what response comes there, right? Oh, so the problem is we had chosen these things, right? We have chosen, you see, we have chosen research, and we have chosen, I think, the what to say, source to be academic, right? So it is still searching in academic, right? So we'll have to, once it comes back, I think we'll have to change the options. Only then it will give a relevant answer, I guess. I can stop it, right? And then say change it here and change the source also to, sorry. Yeah, becomes this, I think should be fine, right? Ask anything, right? What is the limit in prompt size? Yeah. See, you see, it is also mentioned you ran out of ProSearch, right? And you also see the difference, right? So earlier when we have chosen research, it was doing all those, say, it was saying, okay, I need to do this. These are the tasks that I need to carry out and all those things. Whereas now when it's pure search, it is just going and then coming out with the response, right? So you see generally capped around 4,000 to 8,000 characters, right? For free users. And so this should be the same across platforms as well in this range, right? Yeah, I think there is one more question. Deepa ma'am.
Yes, sir. Sir, I am from legal background.
Yeah.
So when I search, I have not used Perplexity. So
Yeah.
when I go in ChatGPT, many times when I'm searching case laws, so and so versus or A versus B, then it hallucinates. It would search everywhere who is X and everywhere who's Y. Suppose it is Ram versus Sham.
Yeah.
Jidhar, wherever it is Ram, it will bring. So there is a hallucination, mixing of the cases.
Understood. Yeah.
So can you suggest me any good tool for lawyers, or how I should give my prompt?
Got it. Okay. So one is one approach might be, say, for example, in ChatGPT, Google Gemini, and all those things. So if you have that case summary, right, and it is interesting that you're asking this question, ma'am, because we are right now working with a firm. I mean, as in my day job, other job. So we are working with a firm in Middle East, right, where we are helping build something similar to what you asked, right, which is
Oh, is it? Okay.
one, but there the approach is different. So we are building that as an application for them, right? Which is, say, they have
For lawyers.
for lawyers, right? So which is
Okay.
all their historical cases that they have, right? The judgments and the case and all those things, and as well as laws. So there are specific, I think there are 30 to 40 specific law sections that are there for UA, right? So all that goes as a knowledge base, and then so that's a different approach. But say within, I mean, but
in Indian context.
Yeah, and conceptually it is still the same, right? So if you have a case judgment, right, and usually judgments will go into pages, right? What you can do is, if you have a Word document or a PDF, you can do the option that we tried, right? Which is, let me share the Gemini what we tried, right? Which was, say, we can go ahead and where is this? Sorry, 1 second. Are you able to see this Gemini thing? So you have this option to go and upload. So you can go and upload that file and then ask questions, right? So then it will be relevant to that file itself. So then you can say, okay, summarize this for me, right? Summarize the judgment for me. If
I have to search the judgment, then what should I do? Or should I go to the legal sites only for like Supreme Court or High Courts?
Or you want to search for, so then I think then you'll have to probably go to, say, your normal, in those cases,
database
search, or like I think Kanun.com something is there, right, for Indian.
Indiankanun.com is there, Vakil number 1 is there. But sir, other than that, that is not quickest way. So if I have to search a particular case and I don't want hallucination, then for correctness, what prompt I should give? Or what type of prompt I should give?
Yeah, in that case, I think the one that I had mentioned earlier, I think somebody else had also asked this, right? So which is, say, basically ask it to give references. So which we also, the way we constructed the prompt was also similar, right? So where we go ahead and then specify that, hey, I want you to specifically look at, specifically bring back the references from where you are giving me the summary, right? So then it will,
But there is no, sir, different tool for lawyers or something.
as far as I know, so there are, so again, US market and all, there is things like Lexis AI and all. I don't know that whether that has come to India yet, right? Lexis AI, I know.
Yeah, it is
we are
paid
doing
version
other
is there.
work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we are doing that other work for this firm in Middle East, we were also looking at, so we saw things like Lexis AI and all, right? Which has,
Okay.
but that was,
Okay.
all those are paid versions, right?
Paid versions. Yeah.
And that too, Lexis AI, I know, is specifically for the US market, right? Not for the Indian market.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. I know we are at the top of the hour. Any additional questions?
Sir, one more question in the chat box. That is, what is the plagiarism percentage of the content generated to the Perplexity, and how AI plagiarism can be avoided using this tool?
Okay. So see, so generally, see, AI is going to generate content from content that is already there, right? So it's generating content from there. So in fact, I think there are mechanisms also where you can identify whether the content that is generated is completely from AI or not, right? Which say if you're say maybe submitting a paper, or you're guiding someone and they are submitting a paper, I think that time it becomes more important for you to check whether, say, the content that they've given is AI generated or not, right? If I'm not mistaken, there are, I forgot the names right now, but there are, say, platforms that are available where you can go and assess whether the content is AI generated. But the thing is, the whole concept of plagiarism, right? So naturally, because AI, I mean, all these platforms generate content from content that is already there. Although, say, maybe directly it may not be, say, you cannot say maybe directly find out whether this is coming from another document or not. Say this is finally references, right? So you generally can't write, you can write research content using Gen AI, but the research content that you generated obviously is coming from other researches that is already there, right? So it will not be an authentic, what to say, authentic and yeah, mainly it will not be an authentic research if you are generating research content from AI, right? Rather, you should use it the other way around, which is, say, if there is other research content and things like that, to say create these reviews, create these summaries, or if you want to create an outline, right? Say what should be, how should my research be structured, right? And things like that. Say you should use it for that rather than, say, if we create research content out of AI, then obviously naturally it will not be authentic content. It will not be actual research, right? It will be content that it has generated by looking at other say research that is already there. Yeah, so it cannot be with proper, so with, say, with citations and things like that. Yeah, okay, then maybe yes, right? But then again, to my point, I mean, if you look at it conceptually, two sides, right? One is, yes, with citations and things like that, it will not be, say, plagiarism. But say there are cases where students now, say, create entire research paper itself using AI, right? So in that cases, while yes, there will be appropriate citations and things like that, whether you ask me whether that is true research or not, it is probably not true research, right? So that what theoretically what is a plagiarism and conceptually what is a plagiarism, I think that difference comes in, right? But yeah, to your point, if it's specific points or specific, what you say, content or references that are there in the content, then that's fine. That cannot probably be coming under plagiarism as such. But I was referring to that other scenario where say there have been cases where where students who are doing, say, thesis and all those things have generated entire research thesis based on purely based on the outcomes that I mean the output that is that a ChatGPT or a Perplexity or Gemini has given, right?
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah.
Sir, as we are studying a lot of AI-based tools since last 3-4 days,
Yeah.
so in general also on the internet there are a lot of AI-based tools available. So being in technical field, we have to write lot of time research paper. Actually, I have also written 2-3 research papers so far. So
Yeah.
for research paper, technical or engineering research paper writing, is Perplexity highly recommended, or can you just guide any other highly recommended research paper writing tool? Which AI tool which is highly recommended for research paper writing, sir, nowadays?
So writing, I would say maybe ChatGPT or Gemini might be better, right? So while Perplexity does the research for you and gives you the summary, for if you want to write something, you have content and you want to say formalize it, convert it into a particular structure, right? And all those things, I think those are things that they may be again within these say tools that we're looking at. Say maybe a ChatGPT or a Gemini might be good, right? But say I've not looked at it from that angle, so I'll have to see if there are other platforms that are specifically built for this purpose, right? Okay, I think someone here has mentioned.
Okay, so, sir, that means
For
for getting the that means, sir, for getting the data we should use Perplexity, and for writing we can use Gemini or ChatGPT.
Correct. Someone here has mentioned paper policy. So I've not used it, right?
Sir, first of all, we have to get some ideas on which concept we want to do the research.
Correct.
So then only we can request the ChatGPT or any other AI tools to get the information from it. So
Correct.
totally they will not do everything. As per our request, they can do. They can.
That's correct. It will the what is it? The relevance will improve as and
Yes.
when your prompt improves. Yes.
Yes, sir. Recently, we have written a paper, and also through plagiarism tool drill bit, we have got first 50-50 like that. We got the, plagiarism. So
Got it.
after that, it is reduced to the 3%, sir. Okay, I will share 1 second, sir, my screen.
Yeah.
Sir, here you can see, sir. This is the recently written paper, sir. 27th, 5th, 25, sir. Recently. Yeah.
Got
So
it. Yeah.
first we got the drill bit, sir. I am having the legal version, sir.
Of drill bit. Yeah. Okay. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, in my system, in this laptop, I am having it, sir. So first we got the how much 50-50 like that. Now how much we
It has changed to 3%.
3%. Actually, most of the
Content is generated by drill bit itself.
honestly, I'm speaking, sir. 98% or 97% of the content we got from ChatGPT and Gemini, sir.
But the plagiarism tool has come back and then said it has. That's good. No, then yeah.
Yes, sir. That is, as a human, we have to manage, sir. I think so. They are the tools.
Correct. That's true.
Sir. I will stopping the share, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So I think, I think we have 5 minutes overboard, right, for the time slot that is
Yes,
there.
sir. Yes. Participants, if there are no more questions or the queries, then we can summarize or conclude this session. If you have any kind of queries, then or the questions, final call for the questions or the queries.
So there is one question. Can any tool make a graph we needed of a data provided?
Can any tool make a
graph we needed for research paper?
So I believe I've not tried this, but I believe all these tools can say if there are, say, if you have data elements that are there, right, it can provide that, if I'm not mistaken. And now the other thing is with Excel, there is what is that? For Excel, there is Copilot integration that is there now, right? So with Copilot, if you have data available in an Excel, you can ask Copilot to generate the the
Consensus
charts, and it will
providing-
generate the charts for you, right?
Sir, consensus AI.
Thank you very much.
Consensus AI. It is providing the visualization also. To our
Which one?
consensus.
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 Yeah, sir.
Yes, sir, consensus is there, and Copilot is also working in the Word as well as PowerPoint as well as the Excel.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
This is
One
good knowledge
more
to me. I mean, I've
question
not
is
come
there.
across this.
Sometimes question is there. Sometimes we write a content.
Then we write a content and
for
the AI for correct. I think that is what Dr. Venkat also showed, right? That they had used drill bit. It generated. Sorry.
yes, yes.
Right. So I think that is now possible, right? So combination. It's how you say what kind of information that you feed and all those things, right? So where finally it showed that 97% is actually human, whereas in reality, a lot of it was generated through I think
AI tools.
AI tools only, right? Yeah. So
Now, one more
so-
thing, sir. Actually, if we are using the AI tools to work on the, 1 GB or 1 TB data, not possible, sir.
yeah,
They will provide the way how to work on that one.
correct.
So in personal hour, by using the Python or something, whatever it may be, some tools we can use. So
Yeah.
then we can get the outputs. Those outputs directly convert into visualization. Then if we send to the journal, they are accepting. Otherwise, they are rejecting with the sample data of 1,000 records or 1,500 records. Sir. They are rejecting our papers due
Oh, is
to
it? Okay.
of the size of the data. Sir.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. Personally, I am having the experience more than 53 papers I published and also 4 are in running, sir. No.
Great.
Based on my experience, I am sharing to you, sir.
Understood. Okay.
Okay, so sir, there are no more questions. So if you could permit, can we conclude, sir?
Yeah, I think nothing else from my end right now. Yes.
Yeah, sir. So it's my pleasure to propose vote of thanks for the current session to Mr. Vivek Suresh sir for such a wonderful and insightful session towards use of AI for our research. Particularly, you have elaborated our concept and provided the handling towards the use of this as well as the chat AI towards integration in our it is a really an excellent session, and that will be deepen our understanding towards our research writing. I am again I once again extend my sincere thanks to on behalf of the organizers and all the participants, and with the kind consent of Mrs. Vivek sir, I would like to be over here. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for the session.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, participants. We will meet in the afternoon, sharp at 2 p.m. with our afternoon schedule.
Bye.